I want to do this, but this is all your fault. Fuck you, Dreamer. Hello. Today, I explain the 12 stages of grief and depression through the lens of HBO Max's and formerly DC Universe's Titans, Season 2, 3, and 4. Real quick, this video was supposed to be filmed a long time ago. I was actually supposed to do it when Season 4 Part 2 first started airing again, but I waited too long, so now I'm back at home. So don't worry about what's going on the green screen. It's going to be some bumbling bullshit that I have conjuring up in my head when I'm editing this. All right, on to the video. So I started watching season 2 with one of my friends to prepare me for this video, and beyond episode 1 not being episode 1, because if you don't know, Titan season 1 was unconfirmed to be able to finish its release at the time of filming, so they filmed a cliffhanger for the season finale, which led to reshoots needing to be done in order to end the arc, which had transpired in season 2's first episode. God, this is fucking horrible already. So if you haven't seen my video on how season 1 handles Nightwing, firstly, watch it. Secondly, essentially the thing about season 1 is that it is a 2-episode continuous cycle that goes on to introduce new characters, builds them up only to give them some violent past that they have to struggle with, and then having the Nightwing or Starfire having to talk them down from a ledge. Excuse me, sorry. And then for half the episodes, for the remainder of it, they just pretend to actually care about each other. So now that we know what kind of ride we're in for, like I said last time, let's talk about Depression, the show. So season 2 actually starts off pretty good, minus the finale debut first episode thing. From episode 2 to 5, it focuses on building the team back up together. The youth members learning to trust, confide, and grow with each other, while still focusing on their insecurities, their lack of confidence, and then just crumbling to the mess that is still this faux superhero team. Not in a bad way, but that's just the plot. At the same time, all of the older cast is driven out of their seemingly normal individual lives by the common antagonist of the season, only furthering the already strong connections the heroes had to this season's villain. Between the introductions and characterizations of Dr. Light and Slade, the haunting of the Titans' past, to the team's conflicts regarding Rose and Jason, everything until midway through episode 5 is pretty good. Then we get to the climax of the Titans being forced to move to rescue Jason from the stupid situation he dug himself into, and it leads to Grayson making yet another selfish decision to try to save the day. But instead, someone else does. Wait, who?
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun.
Connor Kent, Superboy, fresh from Cadmus Labs, comes to clean up the Titans' mess. I mean, granted, the last revelation was full of coinkydinks and all, but I mean, all in all, it's in the purpose of building this family, laying down a framework, and laying the roots for the bed that this dysfunctional mess of a team is gonna have to eventually lay in and get poked around and everything and come out hopefully better on the other side. And it just lays down some good conflict and development for the characters for this season. As a result of the Titans losing one of their own in the past, they inadvertently but also kind of planned but really didn't but did get Deathstroke's son involved in their superheroing, and he kind of died to stop his father from killing Dick Grayson. And this is what laid the groundwork for the current Titans team and the state of the team in general with them and Slade and everything. And because of this truth being unveiled, it rightfully so leads to the team splitting. Whether it be to escape the wrath of Slade, or to get some well-needed rest, or to atone, like the episode literally says, this event creates a natural rift in the team for the foreseeable future. But once again, as the show continues on, we see this show prove itself as not knowing what earthly idea it has to do when the Titans are not together. After splitting, Grayson gets himself arrested after being scarred by Slade to never band the Titans together. Connor and Gar engage in the dumbest B-plot I might have ever seen. Like, why does this show try to make Cadmus a bigger threat than it actually is by braining Connor and hijacking Gar's powers? It's just so stupid, and could have been a moment to explore Gar's growth for independence and Connor's establishment for agency, but no, we get this shit for 4 episodes. On top of that, Rachel, Corey, and Donna screw their heads back on. They limp the team back together by getting the band back together after experiencing yet another event that makes them repeat the same arcs as last season of no matter what, family needs to stay together. Somehow in prison, Dick learned that Jericho was still alive in Deathstroke's body. They break him out, and oh yeah, Hank broke up with Dawn, by the way, and starts sniffing and tripping again. Rose joins her father, then leaves her father after realizing who her true family is. They defeat Cadmus and Deathstroke. Donna is killed from a lightning tower. Raven tries to leave to revive her. Jason leaves, and the others try to create yet another Titans team. Now, I know I went into summary mode a little bit there, but that's just truly how much stuff these last 5 episodes really have going on. And as you can see, almost half of it had nothing to do with what the first half had to do with. The Slade plot is all but dropped. Cadmus basically becomes the next big bad for the team and bands them all back together, essentially. Characters just haphazardly get reminded of their importance to each other, and there aren't any meaningful catalysts for change in opinion, mindset, or really anything aside from coincidence to bring the team back together and make half of the decisions that they make past episode 8. Bows are quickly put on the Deathstroke plot. Character interactions become more few and far between in the second half, and I still don't care nor buy that this team is really a team. But now it doesn't matter, because now it's time for season. Alright, for this season, I'm going to summarize a lot less. I'm just really going to analyze what I like, what I don't like, and what didn't make any sense. So from here on out, you've either watched it or you haven't. If you have, good for you. If you haven't, everything I'm about to say won't make any fucking sense at all. I think that doing the Red Hood arc right now, like a episode after Jason Todd dies, is pretty stupid. Like, it's very dumb. Even though no reinterpretation of the story can directly replicate the same effect of the OG Death in the Family story, it's still important to stress the reality of the fact that Jason was dead. And that just doesn't happen here. He's back, and you know what? Good job for them for not dragging out the widely known mystery that Jason is Red Hood. But bad job, and I mean horrible job, of then setting up the Red Hood arc, doubling down on the hatred for Jason by killing Hank, shooting off Dove, centralizing the team, and then feeling the need to introduce Blackfire, Lady Vic, and Tim Drake so suddenly, and combining all their plots into the supposed to be very personal conflict between Jason and Crane and the Titans. Because now that's all convoluted by Corey dealing with her distrust of her manipulative sister, Tim gaining independence and proving himself to both his family and Dick Grayson, Hank and Donna traveling through the fucking afterlife, Blackfire sleeping with and manipulating Connor, Barbara and Dick rekindling their relationship, and it all distracts from the very direct conflict between wanting to kill or save their now very evil former friend who is taking over the city and dealing with the fact that everyone keeps leaving or dying on the team. And that's really my problem with these middle seasons of the show, because what they'll do is they'll introduce a conflict that fits so perfectly with the character development and progresses the plot at a natural pace, and then they'll do so well at that for like 3 or 4 episodes and then split up the team and then introduce a bunch of new side characters, have the characters go through some bullshit, and half of it has nothing to do with the story or the plot at all. It just distracts, and then it all falls off the rails. They have to rush to come back together. Nothing makes sense. Beast Boy gets some bullshit arc, and then at the end of the day, they're gonna sneak in Dick Grayson so he can fight the bad guy at the very end. Except in this season, that happens, and they need to reintroduce Raven, Donna, and Tim at the last second, and then switch Jason back to the good side to deal with Crane. And then all this happens, and then they make trim downs to the roster by just sending Jason off to not deal with his various heinous crimes that he just committed. Have Blackfire just go back home to Tamaran and bring Donna back just to join Argus? Alright, bro. Season 4 from the first scene was a breath of fresh air for the series. Literally, because the blue tint was finally removed from the normal shots, but also because for once it just showed our main crew together like normal people, being themselves, having fun with each other, which you could have never convinced me that ever happened at any other point in this show. So when the show continues to expand the world to introduce Lex Luthor as Connor's father, I was more open to it, because it's shown to me through the Titans prying info from Lex to discover why in episode 1 he wants to meet Connor, that they care about each other and will make sacrifices to make sure that each other is safe, and that this whole Lex Luthor thing isn't a trap. And to have Connor be the gullible one who is clamoring for a sense of belonging and identity makes perfect sense as the overall direction of his character after Lex dies. While all this is happening, the show's B-plot is establishing and developing the season's main antagonist in Brother Blood by building up his life situations, his own struggles, and increasing desperation for consistency, acceptance, and paralleling the Titans in his journey to find a sense of belonging. The next episodes progressively introduced Jinx, Mother Mayhem, and developed the plot by training Tim, removing Raven's powers, and developing the mystery which will lead them to the cult of the Church of Blood. The show has now established a consistent through line to follow, except for all the hijinks that Beast Boy has going on over there. And it makes for a very common thread to follow the story for once in this show's entire runtime. And it naturally leads to our team bickering and butting heads against each other, but not to the extent of finding bullshit reasons to split up, because they still have to realize that in order to progress through the story, in order to progress through the plot, it makes sense for them to do it all together because they're stronger with each other than they are separate. It's continued to show to us that the only way to untangle the mysteries of Lex's death, the woman who stole Raven's powers, the clues and hints that Jinx is picking up on along through the story, is through the rest of the cast, each other developing as a team to uncover the mystery that eventually becomes the man known as Brother Blood. Our new main antagonist, after being introduced as part of the new team, developed a rapport with the Titans, and Raven specifically, as both have discussed their apparent specialness to the occult and from the supernatural, despite feeling rejected from most others in their life. This bond creates an interesting parallel and aspect to keep in mind for the rest of the season. That, as well as the constant movement from the Titans to keep the cult off their trail, is very much apparent, and despite the help from Star Labs, the cult still presents a very clear and present danger. Even Connor's arc so far of basically just becoming a dickhead like his father and attempting to take more initiative is a natural progression after watching and witnessing the events of Jason's agency in Season 2, the lack of proactive decision-making from Beast Boy in Season 3, and taking matters into his own hands after the death of his father figure, and sensing incompetence and weakness from Dick's leadership. So after seeing all these moving pieces, except Beast Boy's arc, all culminate, hopefully consistently, in a nice clean through line for the rest of the series. Yeah, about that. You see, college is a lot, and because it is a lot, this video was postponed by like 2.5 months. And so now, since the entire Season 4 is already out, and this is basically the last I will ever see from the show, ever, why not express my full thoughts? The last few episodes were kind of a mess to me, I'm not gonna lie. Mainly because of Beast Boy, and I know it seems like I've been hating on him for most of this video, but truthfully, the show just struggles to find consistent plots that weave him into the actual story. So as a result, in this last season, they just literally just make a separate episode for him that has nothing to do with anything else. Granted, it was being developed in the background as like the C or D plot throughout the season, but it still was irrelevant to anything, and it kind of just hijacked an entire like episode and a half and basically just kidnapped Corey Anders to just film with him for his episode along with the rest of the Doom Patrol. I also think it fucked with the pacing and everything, but beyond him, Brother Blood, that was a lot as well. He went from a religious zealot to realizing that he was simply a tool to Mother Mayhem, and then becoming a capitalist again, which follows Lex Jr.'s little arc of trying to prove himself, but in the wrong way. That all goes awry because this nigga was always evil, and I swear, bro, despite me actually liking his character, I hate how every episode Sebastian had to reiterate his new arc's trajectory out loud every single step of the way. But other than that, the main team has some good conflict with the town turning on them and everything. It definitely puts them in a different situation, and finally built out a setting that had the ability to explore non-Titans related characters. I think it took a little bit too long in that first episode, giving a false sense of security, but I mean, come on. Everyone knew where that shit was going. It's fucking Titans. I do like how the show actually ended, though. I definitely think they decided to not kill Star, since this was the last that we'll ever see of the show. The effects definitely got way better over the course of the season, and just series in general. I think the actors did a good job and just have grown a lot in their roles over the course of the show. And to think that This show was basically carried and reliant on a 30-year-old Dick Grayson, a literal teenage actress for Raven for more than half the series, an actress who was hated before the show even first released, and a voice actor. I would definitely say that despite the negative reviews and even my own disappointment and harsh criticism at times, the actors and people involved care about this IP, this project, and made something that through trials and tribulations, I hope they can be proud of and happy to call themselves Titans. Sorry it took a minute to get this video out. I should be getting in some other videos real quick before I start to transfer over to using that thing, that behemoth over there. God, it's gonna be fun. But before I get to start using that full time, I got to get some videos out, even if it means cutting into the June schedule that I have a little bit. So hopefully you guys stay tuned for that and look forward to those videos in the future. I just appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me recently, to be honest with you. If you would be so generous and check out the description where we have a Patreon for the channel where myself and a few of my friends react to movies. We reacted to a playoff game a few weeks ago as well. That was like game 6 or 7 of the Sixers versus Celtics. If you want to see our late game reaction to basically Jason Tatum for remembering how to play basketball. And other than that, I just appreciate everybody for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Give a like to this video if you haven't. And I appreciate you guys. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Have a good day and peace.